Hi children, welcome to Eclit Learning. So this is the fifth video for grade 10, chapter 4. So if you haven't watched my previous videos for grade 10, please go to the playlist and there is a playlist called grade 10 textbook. So you can start watching from the beginning, right? Because this is like in the middle of a chapter and this is the fifth part of chapter 4. So, and this will be the last part for that. So in this video, I'm going to discuss about some practical usage of logic gates. So this is very important thing because with this knowledge, you can answer your essay questions in your O-level paper, right? Okay, we'll start with the first example. It's about an home alarm system, right? So in this one, we'll read and see. They are going to design a circuit. I hope you have read the question. If not, pause it and read the question, full question. So in this one, what they are doing is they are going to design an alarm system where you can detect any theft, right? So here they are telling it's going to design with O gates. Don't worry about that. So this circuit is protecting two windows and a front door and a back door. So actually there are four items. So if any window or a door is open, the alarm system should work. That means if window 1 is open, alarm will go on. If the window 2 is open, alarm will go on. If the front door is open, the alarm will go on. If the back door is open, alarm will go on. If two windows are open, alarm will go on. If all four are open, alarm will go on like that, right? So at least if some uh, window or a door is open, then the alarm will go on, right? So here, therefore, these logic gates are connected to windows and doors, right? So input is 1 when the windows or doors are open, and input is 0 when the windows are and doors are uh, closed, right? So this is the basic scenario you have to think about, right? So now if all windows are closed, right? And if all doors are closed, then this alarm will not trigger, right? So don't worry about the circuit. We'll directly go to the truth table because then it's very easy for you to understand. We'll come back and see the how this circuit is drawn, because in this one they have done it in the other way. Yeah. So this is the truth table. Now in the truth table, what you can understand is like this truth table you can easily draw. Like now you read the scenario. According to the scenario, if at least one window or a door is open, then the alarm should work, right? Alarm should trigger. So that means we have four inputs, right? We have window 1, window 2, front door and back door, right? I told you if there are four inputs. I think this is the first time you may doing four input scenarios. So don't worry, it's the same thing. Now, if four windows, then there are like 8 zeros, like the pattern I'm always talking about. So first 8 zeros, then ones, 8 ones, right? Then 4 by 4, you have to change it. Then 2 by 2, then 0, 1, 0, 1, like that. You have to write the patterns, right? This pattern writing is nothing hard, right? 8 by 8, then 4 by 4, then 2 by 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, like that. And then 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, like that, if there are four inputs, right? This is the first time I'm explaining for you how to do a four inputs, right? So in this one, you understood if at least one is open. That means now in the first scenario, window 1, 2, front door, back door, all are closed. We learn that if it's closed, 0, input is 0. So that means here there will be nothing, right? The alarm will be not triggering. But in this case, second case, a back door is open. Yes, the alarm will trigger. Here, the front door is open. Yes, alarm will trigger. Front door and back door both are open. It is triggered. That means two thieves that have come and at the same time they are opening up both, right? So here window 2 is open. Window 2 and back door is open. So all these scenarios, you can understand that the alarm will trigger. So only occasion where the alarm is not triggering is where everything is properly closed, right? And in here, there's a small printing mistake. They have told open is 0. No, open, if the window is open, that input is considered as 1. If the windows are like closed, it's considered as 0. There's a small printing mistake here, right? So according to this, you understand, right? This is like like at least one should be open, isn't it? One should be open, right? So this is the scenario in a like a writing format. Now you have seen the truth table, right? So according to that, if window 1 is open, or window 2 is open, or window the front door is open, or back door is open, it's like O scenarios. You understood it with the truth table, right? So if at least one is open, then this alarm is going to be triggered, right? So that means A or B or C or D. Like if at least one is open, this is going to alarm is going to trigger. That's the main important point you have to understand, right? So O means the plus symbol like this. So A or B or C or D. They have bracketed it up, right? That means A and B, that windows have done separately, and C and D, that means doors are done separately. But it's not a must to do. Now, if you see the textbook again, you will understand this. So here, the window sensors are done separately, front doors and back doors are done separately. But this one you can do with one single OR gate also. That's also correct, because at least one should be happen. Right? So like that also you can design with the 4 inputs together, right? So here, now you can see the windows are having 2 OR gates, doors are having another OR gate, and these results, again, it will be combined with an OR gate. So according to this, now all are 0, that means no alarm, because all the doors and windows are properly closed. So all are having input as 0, so the alarm is not going to trigger, right? But in this one window is open, right? So then 1 and 0 will give 1 for this output as output from this gate, and input for this one as 1. So OR gate, you know, if at least one input is 1, then your output is going to become 1. So that's why this alarm is going to trigger. Okay. So that is the first example we have discussed. Hope you understood it very clearly. Then we'll discuss about the second example. Here it's about circuits designed to control street lights, right? So you know we have street lights. Normally in Sri Lanka, most of the places we have a manual switch. So the problem is somebody has to manually switch on and switch off these lights, right? The problem is people are not switching off. So in the daytime also these are like working. So in this one, it's very important the lights are on when the manual switch is closed. So no matter whatever the problems, if the manual switch is like, if you close it and like if you switch on, then the lights are going to switch on, right? Close means like switch on situation. The circuit is closed, the switch is closed. So the lights are going to on, right? So the manually there's a switch. And then because manually people are not doing, they are going to do something with like timers and sensors. That means like, for example, if it is like, if you have read this question, please read it. If you haven't read, pause the video and read it, right? Second thing is there's a timer. So timer will identify like 2 pre-arranged ranges. That means if the time is from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. next day, that means it is like the input should be like the timer is having, then you have to switch on these lights because it's dark time, 6 p.m. for 6 a.m. next time, right? That means in that time, you don't have any light. So the light sensor is not detecting any light that time. Understood? And from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. in the daytime, yes, the light sensor will sense light. So at that time, we don't need this street lights. Understood? So the light sensor will become 1 in the morning time, but we don't need the street lights on at that time. Understood? There is a small thing there. right? When the light sensors are like not detecting light only, we have to switch on the street lights. Hope you understand. That means when the environment is like very dark, uh, that means light sensors will not detect light. Then you have to switch on the street lights. Okay. So that is the two parts. There's a timer, right? That means time is always looking the time only. That means 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. like that, only the time will be considered. And there's a light sensor which will be looking into the light. Okay. Hope you understood the thing, right? We'll see how we should write it down and understand the question. Yeah. So we understood if the manual switch is like closed, that means it's switch on, right? That means these street lights are going to work, right? That is a separate thing, right? If the switch is working, no matter whatever the other reasons, the light should work accordingly. But there's another thing. That's why this is an O thing, right? Because this has no manual switch, has no dependency for the other scenarios. If the manual switch is closed, yes, light should be on, right? But that's why there's O, and there are two conditions to be satisfied in the next scenario. That means your timer should be 1. That means, remember, the timer will become 1 when your time, the time of the day is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. It's time is only looking at the time of the day. So if the time is like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., then yes, the light will switch on, but there's another condition to be checked. Okay, the time, because sometimes some days are there like even it is 6 p.m. or 7, like 6:30 p.m., the still light is there. So you don't need to switch on the lights. And so that's why they look at the timer and the light sensors. Now light sensor will detect light. Right? Normally in the morning time you have light. So the sensor will detect like the light and will be 1. But here we should switch on the lights when the light is not there. So that is why light sensor should be 0. The input should be 0 for that. Then only if both of these conditions satisfied only we do this, because that's why now think it's a very gloomy day with a rain cloud or something, so very dark. So then light sensor will be 0, but timer is not fun, right? Because it's the morning time, there's a rain. So in that time, the street lights are not going to work. They are not going to switch on, right? They will switch on in the night if it is dark only. So that's why this AND is there. Now, if we separate this, because it's like a bracket thing you put it, because timer and light sensor should be not with not, because light sensor should not detect light. Okay. So that is how this second line is created. So if we take some inputs for like manual switch, we take A, timer we take B, and light sensors we take C. So A is independent. So A or in this scenario, B should be there. That means timer should be like 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and not light, not C. That's a light sensor is having not scenario. So that means A plus, or the OO actually, this is AO. This is B, but for C, it should be negation for the AND operation. So if you see the circuit, now you will understand the manual switch will have an independent input for that. That's why this is O gate. But timer and sensor both should work, and both should be there. Timer should be 1, and light, it should be no light scenario. That means not gate is coming there. So not light should be there. So if both conditions are satisfied only, it will give input for this. But if the manual switch is closed, no matter what is this, it's going to have the street lights on. But if this is off scenario, it will look into this case and switch on the street lights. Okay, we'll check the truth table for the same thing. So here there are 3 inputs, right? Manual switch, light sensor, and the timer. So hope you know when there are 3 inputs, 2 to the power 3, there will be 8 states, right? So here, how to write this input pattern, right? 4 zeros, 4 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, and the timer, like next input should be like 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, like that. You have to write these input patterns first, and then we'll think about how to write the output. Now we know if the manual switch is closed, you don't care anything, right? You have to have the output as 1. Your street light should be on. So that's why if the manual switch is closed, that means it's switch on. That means here output will become 1. So it's very straightforward. If the manual switch is open, that means the switch is off, like if the manual switch is open, then you have to think about 2 conditions at once. One thing is the light sensor should not detect light. Should not detect light. That means here what happened? 1 for the light sensor means there is light. Light sensor is detecting light. So in this one, there is light. So you don't switch on the street light. So in these 2 scenarios, we have to put the output as 0 because if the light is there, no street lights, right? And here, yes, the light sensor is detecting no light. That's why it's 0. So if that is the case, then the timer should have the correct time, 6 p.m. to the next day, 6 a.m. So the timer should have the input as 1. Okay, in this scenario, output is 1, right? So this is the only occasion where the street lights will automatically switch on, where manual switch is off, so you don't worry, but no light, time is correct. Then it is having the street lamps on. Hope you understood. Question, right? So in this activity questions, if you have read this, actually there's a small printing mistake. Now, if you have read this question very carefully, you will understand like this, like if there is a movement in the car when the engine is not on, that means if your now engine is off, right? And if there is a movement detected in your car is moving, but engine is off, then what happen is like, it will be triggering like some alarm, right? That means car is switch off and somebody is like stealing the car or something like that. Somebody is moving the car, engine is off. And in this English translation, there's a small mistake because here they are telling not on, that is okay. Or when there is a damage to the shutter, that means if somebody damage the shutter, there should be alarm. But if you refer the single translation, it's very clearly mentioned, right? We will see the single translation. So sorry for the Tamil kids. I don't understand Tamil thing. So you can see this online PDF and check if you have the Tamil one also. But in Sinhala, if you read very carefully, it's very clearly tell, right? මෝටර් රථ උපාංග නිෂ්පාදන ආයතනයක් විසින් මෝටර් රථයේ එන්ජිම ක්‍රියාත්මක නොමැති අවස්ථාවේදී එන්ජින් එක දැන් off, එන්ජින් එක නොමැති අවස්ථාවේදී රථයේ චලනයක් හෝ movement in your vehicle or වීදුරුවට හානියක් සිදු වූ විට there is a damage to the shutter අනතුරු සංඥාවක් නිකුත් කරන ආරක්ෂක පද්ධතියක් නිෂ්පාදනය කොට ඇත. But now if you read this one, සිංහල එකේ හරියට පැහැදිලිවම කියලා තියෙනවා රථය එන්ජිම ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ වෙලාවේ එක්කෝ රථයේ චලනයක් හෝ වීදුරුවට හානියක් වුණොත් තමයි මේ alarm system එක වැඩ කරන්න කියලා. But if you go for the English translation, it's a bit confused. So I will take this concept. That means engine is off, right? And if your vehicle is moving or if there's a damage to the shutter, then only I'm taking that is as a scenario, then only the alarm will trigger. So here, if the engine sensor detect not on, that means engine is switch off, right? With that switch off scenario, with that and is there, that's why definitely the engine should be switch off. With that, if the movement sensor detect one, that means there is a movement in the vehicle, or shutter sensor detect that there is a damage to the shutter, right? So that means there's a O scenario. That means now that I have put this O thing into brackets because engine sensor should detect not on. That means engine is switch off, and these two, either one of these happen, then uh, this alarm should be triggered, right? So not A. A should be not A, right? Engine should be not switch on, right? And B or C. Understood? So that means A is the not scenario. That means engine is switch off. That means engine sensor is detecting not on. Not should be there. With that, there's AND operation. Either B or C. That means either there is a movement sensor detecting movement, or this shutter sensor detecting any damage. And now if you see this one, it's very clearly you can go for this filling example, filling the blanks thing. It's very easy for now, right? Because engine sensor should not detect anything. That means engine is off, right? That's why there's a not gate. So then the shutter damage sensor and the movement sensor, this should have what? This should be having, I told you, it should be O operation. So there should be O gate. Either one of this should happen. With this should be AND operation. That means engine is off. Either one of these is happening, then the alarm signal will come. So there, here it's a O gate, here it's a AND gate, right? So if we see the truth table also, you can understand it more clearly. Okay, so in the truth table, there are three inputs, right? We have the engine sensor, right? And the movement sensor and the shutter damage sensor. So it's three inputs. So hope you remember ABC, three inputs. So 4 zeros, 4 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 2 zeros, 2 ones, 0, 1, 0, 1, like that you have to fill the input. So I told you when the engine is on, you don't switch off, like you don't trigger any alarm, right? Because engine should be off, right? So engine, when that scenario, that means if the engine sensor is detecting the engine is on, this alarm won't trigger. So in this one, engine is on. So we don't care to trigger the alarm in this situation. So that's why all outputs are 0. Engine is on. Right? If the engine is off, right, then we consider either one of these, movement sensor or shutter damage sensor, should detect some input, should detect one. If both are 0, no alarm, but at least one of these sensors are detecting any input, like that there's a movement or there's a shutter damage, then your alarm should trigger 1. Right? Your alarm should be triggering. So these are the only 3 occasions where the alarm will trigger. So engine should be switched off. So either movement sensor or the shutter damage sensor should detect any of these movements. So that is how you logically think and fill up the truth table. I will show you same thing. Now we got the expression, right? Not A will do an AND operation with B or C. So this was our expression. We can do the same thing like I earlier told, with this expression also, we can fill up this truth table. For example, A negation, right? A negation, how to get it? This one will be converted, right? 0 become 1, 0 become 1, 1 becomes 0, like that you get the A negation. Then B or C, B or C, that means OR gate means at least one input should become 1. Then only your output will be becoming 1. Now in this case, both are 0. That means your output is 0. Understood? Then we do a like with this one and this one, we have to do AND operation. AND operation, what happened is both inputs should become 1. Then only your output is becoming 1. So only in these 3 cases, we have both inputs as 1. Both inputs are 1, so your output is becoming 1. Understood? So that's how the same answer you will get, right? If you do it logically, you get the same thing, right? So that's the end of the chapter. So in this chapter, we learn about basically logic gates, right? OR gate, right? Remember in the OR gate, we have like the plus symbol, and at least one input should become 1, should be 1. So then your output is 1. AND gate, I told you how to remember the AND gate. It's like a D letter. So if both inputs are 1, then only your output is becoming 1. It's like a multiplication, A dot B, right? Then we learn about the NOT gate, right? So NOT means the negation, or we call is A bar, right? So if A input is 0, output is becoming 1. If A input is 1, then the output is becoming 0. So it's a negation. Then we have NO gate and NAND gate. No means the OR gate, but the negation of it. Now, OR gate, at least one input should become 1 to have the output as 1. But here, if at least one input is having 1, then your output is becoming 0. So both the inputs should become 0 for the NO gate to have a output as 1. Then we learned about NAND gate, AND operation, the negation of it, right? So AND gate, if both inputs are having 1, you will have the output as 1. That's the only scenario you are getting output as 1. But here's the negation of it. If at least like if both inputs are having 1 as the input, then your output is going to become 0. In all other scenarios, you will have 1 as the output. Okay, so that's the end of chapter 4. It's a big chapter. We did 5 small chapter videos for that. So hope you have watched everything. So do some past paper questions, and also I will do it later, the discussions, but not now. So thank you very much. So if you haven't still subscribed my channel, please do subscribe and press the bell notification, and so you get all the notifications when I upload new videos. So please do comment. If you have questions, please ask. So thank you very much.